We have with us today State Representative Kevin West. He's a candidate for Labor Commissioner, and we're going to find out a little bit more about what that is. I know that Kevin actually has done some real laboring in his life. He loves to do woodwork and things like that. And he's also one of the more conservative state representatives. So Kevin, I'm going to turn it over to you to give us a little bit of biography about yourself. Okay. And I just touched on it briefly.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about it, and then let's get into what the Labor Commissioner actually does, some of the responsibilities and things like that. So go ahead.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Well, a few things about me. First and foremost, I am a Christian, and I've been married to my high school sweetheart for 39 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We actually just celebrated our 39th anniversary back in March.
Good.
And then I've worked in construction for 40 years, specifically commercial cabinet making. Mm-hmm. During that time, I've been on job sites, I've ran businesses. I owned my own business for about 8 years in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. And then I've worked for large firms as well. We're doing mostly larger projects like hospitals, schools, things like that. So I know the labor from both sides. Obviously, I've been in the legislature for 10 years. So I know what it's like to be under that regulation, and I know what it's like on the legislative side, and I also know the administrative rules side.
Yeah. So now our most liberal state rep in Logan County is John Pfeiffer, and we have 5 that cover parts of Logan County. He's our most liberal. We're really happy to get rid of him, but he is running for Labor Commissioner.
Yes,
and then the other person is Lisa John Lowe, and we actually had her on the program several weeks back. And as much as anything, she's really nice. She's conservative. I don't believe she stands a chance to win, and I can't tell you how happy I was when I saw you get in this race. You're one of the more conservative legislators, and I actually was thinking about the possibility of Shane Jett running for this. And so I called my good friend up, Jim Marshall, to see if he might help Shane. And he said, well, I'm actually already committed to Representative West. And that made me feel really good because Jim he has everything good done when Brenda Renault was Labor Commissioner was because of Jim Marshall.
Yes.
And then, of course, he was right-hand man for Mark Costello until his passing. And so Jim's just brilliant, and it was a mentor of mine 40 years ago. But I was so glad to see him behind you. So that finished the deal with Shane Jett running for that. But anyway, tell us a little bit about some of the things that the Labor Commissioner does.
Yeah, well, most people, if they do know about the department, they know that they do inspections, elevators, amusement rides, boilers, but there's also a lot more that goes on over there. There's some licensing. It's fairly limited. There's about 24 total licenses that come through, but those are for like welders, you've got your boiler operators, you've got the inspectors, locksmiths.
And these are big commercial boilers.
Yes. Big, huge ones. You've got locksmiths and alarm companies.
Oh, I didn't know that you regulated those.
Yes.
Okay.
And most of it revolves around safety, safety issues. The number one thing that's in statute that governs the Department of Labor says that the Labor Commissioner shall foster, promote, and develop the welfare of the wage earners of the state.
Right.
And that's one thing I want people to know. Every decision that I make in that role will be through that lens first and foremost. You've got to be somebody who's watching out for the worker.
Right.
If things are great for the worker, they're going to be good for the employer as well.
Let me give an example of something happened to me when I was young. And which, boy, I'll have to really draw on some memory here because that's a long time ago. The fifth McDonald's store opened in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Was the Shepherd Mall store. And I actually, I opened that first day it was open. And I was a grill man. And so I generally worked, it was a part-time job for me. I worked in the aircraft industry during the day at Aero Commander and then McDonald's at night part-time.
Yep.
And I would close and they wanted us to be finished with closing at a certain time. And most of the time we could, but if we got busy late at night, then maybe we might run a little bit after that. Well, they wanted the manager to clock us out, whether we were finished or not.
Yeah.
And so they were getting ready to do that to me, and I said, look, I bust my, working here.
Yes.
And I don't take advantage of this. And so if you're going to clock me out, I'm not going to be working here any longer.
Yep.
So they made an exception for me. And I was a little bit older probably than some of the other ones. I just knew how to fight for myself.
Sure.
But we've seen companies do this to employees. And when that happens, you have that power to step in, don't you?
Yes.
Give us a little example of that.
Yes, that is a very key and vital role that the Labor Commissioner has, is enforcing our wage and hour laws. And if there are disputes, that comes through the department. So, things like exactly what you described would definitely be within that purview. And it's technically it's adjudicating, but in reality it's more like a mediation. It's getting the two parties together and coming to an agreement. But that takes a huge burden off of our court systems,
right,
and all of that. And again, that's a spot where from that position you're able to be an advocate for what's fair and what's right.
Right. And you don't want to favor an employee over a boss. No. You don't want to favor a boss over an employee.
No.
You want it to be right.
Exactly. And
justice is what's needed.
Yes. And the easiest way to ensure that is that you know what the law says, you know what the rules say, and you apply them equally and fairly every time.
So I want to go to rides. Now you do like when the state fair comes.
Yes.
You examine all those rides and things. So many years ago there was a situation in Tulsa, and I happen to know the people that owned this park in Tulsa. It was on the state fairgrounds, and so they had a roller coaster ride. And a person, whether that person was drunk or not, I don't remember, but got to the top and put his foot out and stopped the thing, and so it rolled backwards. Anyway, ended up killing someone.
Oh, man.
And I probably shouldn't use the name of the labor commissioner, but informed their investigators that the park owner was not going to be found innocent in this before the investigation ever started.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely wrong, because the ride owner had followed all the rules and things like that. There was a part that did break on it that was supposed to stop it, and it broke, but it had passed inspection and things like that. So I was always quite upset that because these were friends of mine that owned this ride. And
do you know the rider that put the foot out and stopped it?
Yeah.
Were there any consequences for that person?
I think it might have been the one that was killed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not positive, but I think it was.
That's a big consequence.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
right. You know, you cannot predetermine who's at fault. You have to do the investigation. I know just a few months ago at a fair down in the Chickasha area, there was a ride that had been inspected, and similar deal. Something had broken, and you know, but that's the importance of these inspections,
Yeah.
is to make sure that that is put together right, to make sure that the person who's operating it knows all the safety features, because there's always emergency stops, different things like that.
Do you have employees that are in the Labor Commission that are experts in
Yes.
rides and things
Yes.
like that?
Yes, they're
So Guthrie, when they come and they set up some rides here for people in Guthrie at 89er Day, that gets inspected too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Little places get inspected.
Even little places. There's even certain circumstances where churches will have like a bounce house or something.
Oh, okay.
And that gets inspected as well.
Each time, does it?
Yep. And now, in some of those cases, what they'll do is they'll issue like a permit for a period of time, you know, so that they can, if they're going to be setting it up, you know, like once a week for, say, a month or something, you know, then you're not having to make 4
Every
trips
time,
out.
right? You just
Right.
So I'm surprised because I know of a place that sets bounce houses up every year around the 4th of July for one day. And if I was a bet man, I'd bet you that never gets inspected.
Well, who's this lawbreaker?
I'm not going to
Who's this
mention.
lawbreaker?
And you know, some of that I've been approached since I've announced the run, and those are some of the things that I'll definitely take a look at and work with the communities. You know, because if you are doing a one-time deal, you know, yes, it needs to be safe. Safety can never take a back seat because you know, even an injury can be devastating. But we have to do it, you know, with some reality in there as well. So you know, in those kind of instances, you know, maybe have something like what we have for some of these churches, you know, to where you can get a permit. It's good for a period of time. You know, something along those lines, so that we know it is safe, but it's also not a burden.
So right down here at Waterloo and I-35, we have a huge development going on right now, and there's commercial businesses that are going in, but also there's a group of apartments, and some of these are going to be 3-story. There's going to be a lot of them, and then there'll be many houses built around those. So on those commercial apartments where they're 3-story, is that something Labor Commissioner would inspect, or is there some other? And here's another thing in Logan County. As long as you're outside of city limits and you want to build a home, because I've built 3, there's only one permit and one inspection, and that is for your septic system. But if it's a public building where people are going to come to, or apartments where multiple, then that comes under as far as I know, under the state fire marshal's purview and under the BOCA codes.
Right.
Explain what that is, and is that something that the Labor Commissioner gets involved in, or is that done through the fire marshal?
The Labor Commissioner has very little to do with those kind of inspections.
Okay.
More what would fall under the purview of the Labor Department is on the safety side.
Okay.
And even at that, we are a federal OSHA state,
Yeah.
meaning federal OSHA has ultimate jurisdiction. Now, the department works in conjunction with the federal OSHA folks. We have representatives that have an area, and Oklahoma's part of like a 4-state area.
OSHA's occupational safety and
Hazard, and I forget what the A stands for.
I don't remember
Authority.
either. Yeah,
I think
authority.
it's
yeah.
authority.
Yeah.
And now on the public sector side, the Labor Department does have direct influence over those safety issues. So for public, but even like on the private side, you can have the Department of Labor come out and do basically a safety audit. You can do that in your business as well. And the Department of Labor will send somebody out. They'll do a safety audit. If there are deficiencies, once they're corrected, then you get a certificate from the Department of Labor. That way, if OSHA does show up, you can show them that certificate.
Okay.
And they might kind of look around a little bit, but
Are you a little bit more the enforcement arm for OSHA, or?
no,
Okay.
they do their own
Oh, okay.
enforcement as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
But we can do those safety audits for
Yeah.
people. If there's an immediate question, like a general contractor has a question, that can come through the Labor Department first before you get OSHA involved. And 9 times out of 10, because we know what the federal OSHA laws are, we know what our state and local laws are. 9 times out of 10, we can help resolve that before it becomes a big issue.
I know I moved to California in 1968. I was out there 68 through late 72. And I initially started working in the aircraft industry and manufacturing. And when things slow down in manufacturing on aircraft, you're out of a job. Maintenance goes on forever. but so I got a job with Alex Robertson, which was engineering and construction company. And they had 7 of the 27 California water districts. And the one that I worked in was parts of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and, pretty good size area there. And Palos Verdes Peninsula, this very steep, tall place that you would rose right up out of the ocean. It was very high, very close to Torrance, and on one side, Torrance, and then Long Beach on the other side. But we were putting in water pipes up there, and I can remember when OSHA came in, because before OSHA came in, we dug ditches and we didn't have to shore them up. And when OSHA comes along, as long as your ditch is more than 6 inches deep, I'm exaggerating a little bit there. You've got to have this, and boy, that really does slow things down.
Yeah.
And depending on soil and things like that, some ditches there's no way they're going to cave in. Others, there's some risk and danger, but OSHA doesn't see the difference in that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. They drive the cost up of some of those things,
Well,
And,
you had mentioned former Commissioner Mark Costello, and you guys will probably remember he had a big program, Safety Pays. And what that was all about was encouraging these businesses to initiate those safety protocols that will protect the workers, because we've all employed people, we've all been employed, and if you're hurt, you're not going back to work the next day. So you've got that, but even bigger than that is you've got the savings that you're getting on your insurance, because the fewer incidents you have, the lower your premiums. Well, a byproduct of that is that almost every general contractor now has not only a safety program, but they have a safety liaison on every one of these job sites. So the incidence of OSHA getting involved, it's been pretty well reduced to major incidents. So that's been a really good thing that has still resonates today.
Well, I think more and more people are waking up to how worthless a college degree in underwater basket weaving
Yes.
is. And that's just a generic for many different college
Yes.
degrees that are almost worthless.
Yep.
And they cost you an arm and a leg to get one, and then you may or may not have a job. But the one thing that's really growing today is we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need carpenters. There's all kinds of things like that. And there's this fellow named Mike Rowe out there.
Yep.
And I've mentioned him to you. It's mikeroweworks.org. You might check with that right there, because I think that what you would like to do would be identical to what Mike Rowe wants to do. Mike Rowe has this, he spends several $1 million a year, collects that money and spends it to train people
Yep.
to do the trades. And that's what we really need, a lot more people in the trades.
Yes.
And I think that's something that you could really help. I'd love to see Mike Rowe come in and do some at least radio commercials for you or something of that
Absolutely.
nature.
Yes.
Unless I'm unaware, maybe you're going to be on TV day and night like some of the big ones out there.
Probably not. Probably not. I have been trying to get connected with Mike
Okay.
Rowe.
Okay.
Because there are so many of those crossovers. A few years ago, myself and Senator Bullard passed legislation that allows 16 and 17-year-olds to participate in apprenticeships and internships. And since that, we've seen a big influx, but it's been in pockets because we don't really have anybody at the state level that is promoting that.
Yeah.
You have to recruit people because the state doesn't administer those type of programs.
Right.
We do oversee it to make sure it's being done correctly, but we need to recruit people to do that. Then you've got to make connection to the business and to the high schools and the career tech,
right.
you know, to get that complete circle. I am a huge advocate. I was first introduced to woodworking in the 6th grade. And just to be perfectly honest with you, yes, we need people in these trades, but this isn't necessarily about getting kids into a specific trade as much as it is exposing them to these different things.
The opportunities.
The
there.
opportunities. Because what you wind up with is you get the practical application of the other subjects that you're being taught.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter if it's woodworking or welding or home ec.
Yeah.
You learn the importance of reading, writing, doing arithmetic, because you see that I'm actually going to use this every day. And if that opens up some pathways to something else, hey, that's great. You know, if a kid's pathway is college, fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that they're focused and on a direct path. But the trade,
We used to tell people you'll never make it if you don't have a college degree.
Yep.
And boy, is that switched around now.
yeah.
You may be wasting time and money with a college degree now. Where the real jobs are that really pay good money is out in the trades.
Well, I had an opportunity, one of the groups that's working in the Oklahoma City, Moore, Norman area, primarily, doing these internships and apprenticeships, on Friday actually had a signing day for some of these kids because they've been interning or doing apprenticeships with these companies, and when they graduate later this month, they have already signed on to work, and there were like 30 or 40 kids that have gone through this program that have signed, and to do that signing day, you know, like what we remember when kids would sign with college football team or something, you know, make a big deal out of it. They got certificates, they got all kinds of stuff, and it was really cool to see.
I went to junior high school at Taft in Oklahoma City, and we had a woodworking class, and we had a metal working class. Mr. Shin was the woodworking instructor. He made custom paddles for every teacher there. And
they actually used them.
Oh yeah, they used them, and some of them would have holes in them, whatever they wanted, you know. And so he would make them. The one person you didn't want to get a paddle used on was Mr. Wishon, who was the metal teacher, because he would take that custom made, and boy, when he hit you, no, I mean, I never had one from him, but I saw a few that did, and they never acted up again. Let me.
Everybody else liked it.
And then when I got to high school, we had a class called DE and DO, Diversified Education, Diversified Occupation. So they were, I never did take one of them, but they were introducing young people to the trades and things other than an academic track. And I don't think we have anything like that in high school now.
No, well, we do in a few small areas.
Okay.
And again, it's pockets. I went to Oklahoma City Public Schools as well.
Okay.
I graduated from Douglas High School.
Okay.
And we had, right there on campus, we had the woodworking, we had auto mechanics, we had auto body, several things like that. And we also did an industrial arts fair. Every year we would go to one of the malls, Crossroads Mall, Shepherd Mall, Penn Square Mall, and display what we had worked on.
Right.
And it would get judged, and it was usually like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. And you're exactly right. For the most part, that's gone away. Now, I have
Is
seen...
that something you could work with the legislature on?
Absolutely.
I don't know how to do it, but somehow trying to bring more of that
Yes.
back.
And, one of the beautiful things about being on a statewide campaign, traveling all over the state, I've seen several of the people that are running for school superintendent, and there's several of them that are very excited about partnering with somebody like myself to do that. And if you've got the Department of Education backing and you've got the labor there, then it's just a matter of maybe just a couple of tweaks on the legislative side and make it to where it's an option, but I think that we've seen a lot of the schools have gone into the aeronautics stuff,
Right.
And we've seen great.
That's probably our
dividends.
second largest industry.
Yep.
in Oklahoma.
Quickly moving
Yeah.
up to be number one.
Yeah.
And just getting that exposure is just amazing for these kids. And sometimes I always say that every one of these contacts that we get is a 100% success rate. Because if a kid thinks they want to be a welder and they get exposed to it and they realize, hey, I'm probably going to be outside. It might be -5, it might be 105. And either way, I got to wear all this gear to protect myself and a mask. That's not for me. That's a success because now we're not wasting time on that.
Right.
Now, if you're still interested in welding, there's shop welding, there's CNC welding, all kinds of things. But there are so many crossovers
So
there.
what do you have? Do you have any relation with Career Tech?
Yes.
I used to call it originally as Votech, now
Yeah.
Career Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been talking to them across the state as well whenever possible. If I go to an area, I make it a point to reach out to the school superintendent and the Votech in that area and talk about these things because we have some great things going on. I represent Northmore, South Oklahoma City. Moore Norman Votech has a program where over the summer they open it up to all of the kids to come in. It's age appropriate, but start exposing them to some of these things. And the thought there is as they mature and start to hone in on what they really want, when they're ready for Votech, they've got a pretty good idea
So, kind of jump to the trucking industry here just a little bit. We really need truck drivers.
Yes.
And one of the reasons
Americans
we have
that can read
Yes.
our language. Yes.
And I saw an article recently where as a father and son, and the business that they were in was shutting down. I think AI was putting them out of business. So they were going to go to trucking school to learn to be truck drivers, and they probably work as a team if they go cross country or something to that nature. But we certainly need a lot more truck drivers. Is that something that Labor
Absolutely.
Commissioner can?
Absolutely.
Do you regulate the schools, the training schools, or anything like that?
Don't have the regulation over that right now, but can absolutely be an advocate, for promoting this. I met a couple of guys down in the Altus area several months ago that I'm sorry, it wasn't Altus, it was Duncan area.
Okay.
And several of those oil and gas companies have, backed way off or moved or whatever. A lot of people still want to live there, so they started a trucking school. Well, they have about a 98% pass rate. They've been doing it, I think, 4 years. But even better than that, they have over 90% placement, and they're able to keep these families
Right.
in that community.
Right.
So absolutely, advocating for things like that, making sure that people are aware that
Charlie, I'd
recruitment-
love to jump in here too.
Yeah,
by the
go
way.
ahead.
We're already halfway through the program.
Okay, well, it's about time. You've been sitting over there like a bump on a log.
I'm trying to be patient. All right, Representative West. You mentioned the idea of safety being paramount for the Labor Commissioner, right? Through the inspections and the various things that are done, just keep things safe. On the other hand, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on the Labor Commissioner's role in terms of the employment rate in the state. Should a Labor Commissioner be sensitive to the unemployment rate or the employment rate within the state of Oklahoma?
The sensitivity part, absolutely, because to me that directly comes into helping to recruit, for apprenticeships, this, that, and another, working with the employers as to what their needs are. And so that is vital information to have so that you can, help direct how things go and to at least see where the needs are.
Well, I'm a libertarian, blood to ask. Why don't I just let the market decide?
Well, I'm all for the market deciding, but if we know that we have 4 or 5 industries that have needs in this area, and it's not a matter of directing people necessarily into that, as it is just that overall exposure. And 9 times out of 10, if kids get exposed to it, they see that they really like it. And if it's also in their area, now instead of moving to Dallas or Oklahoma City or wherever,
You see the opportunity.
they see the opportunity that they can actually stay there.
Follow-up question on the idea of, we're talking about wages, right? Which we all like to make more money. Right?
Absolutely.
What's our favorite state question number going around here?
832.
8:30.
832. State
Yeah.
question 832. Of course,
Big bad no on that thing.
I'm trying to get the good representative's opinion on this. All right, Charlie.
Okay.
State question.
You're in favor of it, huh?
No.
State question 832. The whole idea of raising the minimum wage gradually over the years, the whole process of doing that. What role does a labor commissioner have in that matter? Let's say it were to pass. What do you think the labor commissioner should do in response to that?
Well, according to statute, the labor commissioner would enforce whatever the laws are, wage and hours.
You'd enforce
Definitely.
minimum wage.
Yes. Now, of course, as we know, and hopefully most of the people watching this know, that that would drastically escalate our minimum wage, which that could be a conversation that we have if the market could bear that or not. But the real deal killer for me on that is being tied to the National Inflation Index. That puts it on autopilot that the governor can't change it, the legislature can't change it. It's going to continue to escalate. And what we've seen...
There's never a level it'll stop.
No,
It
never.
can go up forever.
Ever.
Yeah.
And we don't have to speculate on this. We can look at states like Oregon who have had this for a few years. And what you've seen is take-home pay, where wages have gone up, take-home pay has gone down because employers are cutting hours. When you start cutting hours, you're also cutting benefits. When you're cutting benefits, you're putting more people on welfare. So you get this cascading negative effect by all of that. And I think that this is incredibly important. The federal government is always behind a few years. So this is information from 2024. But according to the U.S. Department of Labor, there are 1,000 Oklahomans in 2024 that were making minimum wage. Everybody else is making above that. Or they're in the exempt category, which includes tipped employees and
Part-time
salaries.
students,
Part-time students,
farm
yes.
labor
Yep.
students, and domestic workers.
Yep.
By the way, if this passes, they are no longer exempt from those
Exactly.
things.
Yep.
Your food cost is going to go up tremendously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I point out to people all the time,
And there won't be many entry-level jobs
No.
anymore.
well, if you go to a fast food restaurant, you go through the drive-through, what's the first thing they ask you? Are you
Apps.
using the mobile app?
Yep.
If you go in, almost every one of them has a kiosk. So
Yep.
you're going to see that escalate
Right,
as well.
right.
You're going to have people doing the necessary jobs that only a person can do
Yeah.
for right now.
Yeah.
AI's taking over, right?
AI.
Yeah.
All right, let's go one other question again, and that's the whole idea of.
Now you get too many questions.
That's right. Yeah, I have taken 5 minutes out of the last 40, right, Charlie? I operate from the premise that regulations, where you can argue, we need some kind of regulations for safety, things like that,
Sure.
right? Okay. But regulations tend to drive up the cost of doing business.
Absolutely.
Now a business owner's got more paperwork to fill out, more information he needs to know, right? And in order to be compliant, unlike Charlie's Bouncy, we won't talk about Charlie's Bouncy too
Yeah.
much. Was that your Bouncy, Charlie?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've never owned one. I've been in a few, but I've never owned one.
Regulations can have this tendency to drive up cost.
Yes.
And at the same time, governments don't tend to reduce regulations. They tend to increase them just over time. And right now we have, my last check, according to Google, Oklahoma has 3 times as many regulations as does the state of Idaho. Of course, Oklahoma has a third of as many regulations as California.
Yep.
But all the same, moving in the direction of Idaho, what do you think can be done in the Labor Commission to reduce the number of regulations?
And are there
Areas
some that are
we can do.
unnecessary?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I have kind of been looking at that for the last 8 months, looking specifically, as we know, and now the people watching this will know, we have this thing called administrative rules, where the legislature will pass a law and say, we want the Labor Department to regulate locksmiths. And we're going to let the Labor Department write the administrative rules to enact that.
The bureaucrats.
Right. Now, sometimes you get pretty tight parameters. Sometimes it's loose, just like that. So first and foremost, what I want to do, I want to go through all of the rules, compare them to what the statute actually gives authority for, trying to figure out, what's the actual intent here, and try to reduce those administrative rules, because as we know, administrative rules carries the exact same weight as statutory law.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've been on the admin rules committee, and we review any rule changes or new rules. And the very first thing that we look at is, do they have the statutory authority to do this? So we've got to make sure that that those rules are in line. Then you work along with industry to see what you can reduce, because I'd mentioned there's about 24 licenses that come through the Department of Labor. Most of our licenses go through the Construction Industries Board, but we have 24, but there are 6 categories that that the Labor Department has authority for. How many of those 24 do we really need? And I don't know the answer to that just off the top of my head, but that's something that I definitely want to take a look at, because you're exactly right. We need regulation to ensure safety, things like this, but it should never be a barrier to entry, the sole barrier. The barrier should be that you're not able to do it safely, or, something along that lines, or the market, you're just not competitive in the free market. And those are fine.
Okay, let's talk about, before going on, you kind of suggest the agencies, or some of them, may well be exceeding the bounds of their authority in laws that were passed and creating too many rules. You think there might be a tendency to do that?
Absolutely. Yes. I can give you an example. Before, and I cannot find out when this rule came into place, but it was before Service Oklahoma. I know that. But there was an administrative rule that was passed that allows somebody to change their sex indicator on their driver's license from male to female or female to male. There's no statutory authority to do that. That got done before Service Oklahoma. When Service Oklahoma started, they just grafted all of these existing rules into place. And this year, we got those rules removed because there were no statutory authority. On the Admin Rules Committee.
Well, who's we? Who actually did that?
I don't know which department. I don't know if it was DPS or who did.
But it wasn't done through the legislature. It was actually internal.
It was a rule that was written by an agency, submitted to the legislature for review, that didn't get caught. Should have been caught.
Okay.
Because I'm on admin rules, and like I said, we review every rule change. We're looking at it for fiscal impact. We're looking at it to make sure that they have the statutory authority to do this. And every once in a while, there are rules that we reject, or we send back to an agency and say, you're getting outside your lines.
Right.
You've got to pare this back in, because where it might be good, but you don't have that statutory authority.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Well, then, going back to the area of safety, there could be 2 approaches to dealing with safety. Okay. One is to, you have laws that require a safe environment or whatever it is. And you have someone who's a worker and they get injured. Okay. Well, let's say that the one option is to not really inspect ahead of time to make sure it's a safe environment, but instead, when somebody gets injured, they take the employer to court, and the court decision can be rather hefty to take care of the injured party, and that is, the term for that is negative law. After the fact, justice is restored. If that was truly an unsafe environment, then the employer makes due compensation. And then the other employers realize, wait a minute, by making a compensation, that company just put out of business. All right, so I'm going to clean up my act and make sure it's safe. And that is one way to encourage safety. But mind you, that is all the idea that it's managed by, it goes to the courts. And prosecution occurs that.
Yep.
The other one is the idea of positive law that we've been discussing that you're bringing out. And here, you'll inspect ahead of time to make sure certain standards are met.
Yep.
And I can see that increasing safety levels, but as was brought up, the example that Charlie brought up earlier on the idea of the ride. Now we have, if the safety standards are met, okay, as dictated by government, that grants a certain level of immunity to an employer or an owner, and they may actually hedge their bets then and not take the extra step to be even safer. Okay, because now they're basically, because they're using the color of law as a shield. Okay, it all of a sudden you can't make enough laws.
Right.
And I'm wondering, which should we lean into? What should we lean into first as a solution for a safe work environment? Which we all want a safe working environment, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
My approach has always been in working in the industry, and I want to point out I still got all my fingers, even after working 40 years with table saws and chop saws. But doing it, we have those OSHA standards. We already know that federal OSHA can come in and give you a fine for having a frayed extension cord.
Or shut you down.
Or shut you down. I mean, I've literally seen them shut a job site down for fairly what we would probably say, that's kind of minor, But if something were to happen, that would be really bad. So I'm kind of a both. You have these OSHA standards that regulate most of the industry anyway. So that's where the Department of Labor currently can come in and do a safety audit based on those standards. You can also, do kind of like the Safety Pays program, where you're also highlighting if you go above and beyond, you can get additional benefits and possibly, because it doesn't matter if there's a guard on the saw or not. I can still cut my finger. I've seen it done.
Sure.
But encouraging safety at that level without mandating it, and highlighting what the benefits are. The benefits are you have reduced time loss, and you also have reduced premiums. Now, kind of to your point, with the way that our workers' compensation has changed, I forget, what was that, 25 years ago when we went to the system that we have now, which is basically the Arkansas model, where we
It's
have
more administrative initially, and then then if that doesn't work, it can go to court.
Exactly. And you have set limits. If I cut my finger off and I lose one joint, that's worth X number of dollars. If I lose the whole finger, that's more. If I lose use of my hand, then that's more. Now, within that system, you still have the judicial side, because if you can prove that it was an unsafe atmosphere, an unsafe condition, intentionally not having these safety protocols
Rather than
in
the
place.
carelessness of an employee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, so basically the system that we have right now, I think is a pretty fair thread the needle on that. Now, there obviously, if you're an employer, you're going to have one viewpoint on it, and if you're an employee that's been injured, you're going to have a slightly different viewpoint on that.
Sure.
But I think by and large, overall, the system that we have right now is a very good, not great, but very good thread the needle on those things.
In the oil and gas industry, That used to be very dangerous. It's less dangerous now. Do you inspect that, or is that a corporation commission job?
That's corporation.
Okay, all right, so, I didn't know.
Well, Charlie, we have just a few minutes left.
Yeah. So
Actually,
what
before
I'm, okay, go ahead.
allow me to ask you, Representative West, is there anything you want to say about your campaign that you would like people to hear? Distinctives may separate you, help you campaign. What do you think?
Well, I often, two things I always get asked is, what does the labor commissioner do? And since there are 4 people in the Republican primary, what separates you? Well, we've talked about what the labor commissioner does in depth. The things that separate me from the rest of the field are my real world experience. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, I've been out in the field, I've been in those shops, I've been on those factory floors, I've owned a business, I've seen the regulation from that side.
Wait a minute, John Piper raises cattle.
Yeah. And that's...
And you think you have an advantage over him?
I believe I do. Now, if we were talking about...
Besides being a liberal.
If we were talking about putting steak, the actual meat on the table, that might be a slightly different story. Although I have worked in the cattle industry too. I worked at the National Stockyards for several years.
Okay.
So, but I have that real world experience. I have the legislative experience. I know how to read and interpret the laws, and the Department of Labor will enforce federal and state law and rules. And then related to the legislature is what we talked about on the admin rule side. Right. And these are super important because if you get somebody who doesn't understand, especially that administrative law, man, we can have some major disasters going on, or we can get mission creep, or it gets caught by the legislature and it delays something that really needs to be put in place. So all of that works together. There are always, I would venture to say, the 10 years I've been in office, the Department of Labor probably has more things come through the legislature that affects what their duties are than most other agencies.
That's right.
And so being able to understand what's trying to be done, and my approach to that will never be, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to put a huge fiscal impact on it, because that always scares the legislature away. They don't want to spend more money. What I will do is I will look at it, I'll say, I really don't want to have to mess with this, but if you do this, here's what it's going to take. I'm going to have to hire 5 people. We're going to have this, and this is what the real cost is going to be. That way they're able to make a determination, an educated determination. There are some things that I think probably should be under the Department of Labor that currently aren't, but that's ultimately a decision that the legislature will have to make. But being able to have those conversations with the legislature to enact some of those changes, I think is really huge. And on the safety side, all of this, a lot of people like to think, oh, it's the labor department, it's just kind of on an autopilot. But if we get a bad labor commissioner, and we've had some in the past, things can go sideways really quick. And if we have somebody in there that's really good, then businesses know what the rules are. They know it's going to be applied consistently. Employer or employees know that they have somebody who's actually watching out for them, and it's a system that they can trust. And to me, those are two very key components to growing our workforce here in Oklahoma.
All right, Charlie?
So, as I mentioned earlier, we had Lisa John Lowe on a program, and partly why we did that is because she's Iranian, and this thing had just started when we had her on. But as you can see, and I fully endorse you, and as you can see, if you've watched this whole thing today, how much research and how well prepared that Representative West is for this job. And that's what we need to do. We need to put the very best person in, whether it's Corporation Commissioner here, State Attorney General, State Secretary of Education, or Superintendent of Schools. I'm trying to pick the very best person for these jobs and let the viewers know, have an opportunity to really hear from you, to understand this right here. And I just hope you appreciate what a well-qualified person that this is for this job here.
Well, and I want to thank you guys for doing this, because the people who are watching need to know these are important positions. You know, labor commissioners considered a down ballot, but hopefully I pointed out the importance of labor commissioner.
And we know this, or we should know this. Regulations are one of the most costly things to business. So any regulation that you can find that's unnecessary, and we eliminate. When Trump was in the first time, there was tax cuts for businesses, but what really helped them was the vast reduction in regulations, unnecessary regulations, which really provide jobs for regulators, which is what the the Democrats like to do, is provide a lot of jobs for their buddies. And that way they buy loyalty to keep them in office, you know. So, but anyway, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
And like all of them were saying, after you've been in there for a while, we'd like for you to come back and tell us if you've been surprised by some of the things, or what you've been able to accomplish, or things like that. We want to keep the people informed. Again, I don't think there's anyone else in the state of Oklahoma that's doing what we're doing in this podcast. If there is, I'd like to know about them.
And I mean, you guys know this also, you know, no matter what the role is, until you've been in it, you don't know. And I
found that out when I ran for county commissioner. I thought I knew what the job was. Oh my goodness, I had no idea. The learning curve on that job was enormous. I had to deal with things I never thought I would have to deal with.
Folks, as we close, please keep in mind, if you want to set up a bouncy in your backyard and get around all the regulations, Charlie Meadows is the man to talk to over there. Just so y'all know, I would never follow that advice.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We'll see you next week.